Hey, good evening, everybody. Chris Starcheski here of Unlock the Middle video cast. We are coming at you live tonight with our Navigating Leadership episode alongside my colleague and co-founder of Unlock the Middle. Well, he's actually up in the top middle of the screen here. Dean Packard, the principal at Charlton Middle School, the brother middle school to my middle school here in the Dudley Charlton Regional School District. We've got AJ Bianco with us, Dr. Frederick White, Josh Tovar, and our new guest of the evening, Aubrey Patterson. How are all you gentlemen doing this evening?
Excellent.
Fantastic. Great job. Good leading. This is episode number 28 of Navigating Leadership. And man, I can't be any more excited than to have a new person at the table. Aubrey's with us tonight. Super excited to hear your story and what you can bring to our conversation tonight. But more importantly, as we start looking about summertime and what that's all going to be like for all of us here as we champion that leadership role that we're all in. So, hey, let's kick it right over to Aubrey. Aubrey, welcome to the table. Why don't you give us a little brief background about yourself and welcome aboard.
Hey, thanks, guys. It's great to be here. This is, I just got to say, I love the chill, friendly, and concrete stuff that comes out of here. So thank you so much. I was a teacher and a basketball coach for many, many years and eventually became a principal, mostly high school, fairly large high school for 5 years, elementary for about a year and a half, and then an assistant superintendent and a superintendent for about a little over 11 years. So that's a really, I prefer the word seasoned, but it just means I'm old, right? So I've just done a lot of stuff. and about 3-4 years ago, I got out of all of that stuff and decided I wanted to do something kind of fun and different and that kind of thing, and started creating some educational companies and doing mostly coaching and that type of thing, especially out of my Warm Demanders company, and which I've got going with Danielle Bosnick and Melody Stacy. And so I'm just one really, really lucky guy to be here and to get to do all these really cool things and coach all these fantastic principals and superintendents and university deans and all over. So anyway, thanks.
That's a great lens, man. And I'm a little bit jealous because I'm still sitting right in the middle of we are all still sitting right in the middle of the thick of things. Someday I'd like to be able to put on that hat and say, okay, how can I coach you to become better? And that's a little bit like what our show is all about anyway, because every time we have a session, we always learn something from somebody and we put that in our toolbox and we just roll with it. So for tonight, first of all, quick shout out Stacy Green, who's not with us tonight. And Gabby Elliott, who couldn't make it tonight as well. They're going to come back around. We know Gabby's going to host next week for us. We had that in our pregame. We told her she's going to be on that one for us. But all told, it's going to be a great show tonight. And we're going to be talking a lot about how we calibrate throughout the summer and where we're at. So let's kick it around first. Let's go down to Frederick. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I am well. Enjoying the beginning of the summer. Still not quite off yet. Our principals have a conglomeration that we're going to all meet next week. So we're still in the mix of it until the end of next week. But other than that, man, enjoying the weather. Glad to see you guys again, as always.
AJ.
Yeah, I'm finally done with my first year, so now we're enjoying summer. I'm in the office still. Got a lot of things to do. No vacation yet, but trying to make a plan for next year, trying to figure out what it looks like, and I got some things to do. But I'm excited to get 1 year done and looking forward to hopefully a full second year and back to normal.
Love it. And Josh,
finishing off one more week. We're all tying up those loose ends right now. Your emails that I was gonna get back to, and now I'm getting back to it right now. Planning the upcoming calendar for the next 2 months. And most importantly, right now my focus is being, and we'll get into that later on, is how to prepare the kids to come back. So I'm on track on working on that because I rather front load right now the work than coast that later on when the kids actually come in.
I can't wait to steal your ideas, Josh.
Huh?
I can't wait to steal your ideas, brother.
Take them, brother. Take them, please. Take them.
Hey, let's take a look at what closeout looked like for all of us. And, our year, it was a year where I thought it would never end, first and foremost. And when it did end, it was like all of a sudden the cloud just kind of lifted over us, and all of a sudden you could breathe again. Teachers were happy, kids were happy, and we crossed that finish line with all of our oars rowing at the same time, which is really good. So from a closeout standpoint, let's talk a little bit about your school and where you're at right now, and how that all took place. So let's go down to Frederick first.
With us, it's basically we did our closeout with our teachers. I had my end of the year conference with all of my teachers, just making sure they understood that we wanted them back, that we knew that this past year had been a struggle for a lot of educators and a lot of the kids. So just making sure that they go home and they, find something to rejuvenate themselves. I'll get in trouble for this one, but I told my teachers, if possible, don't do summer school. I think that, we've gone so long on dealing with the virus and everything that's been happening that they need this summer off. They need that time to get their thoughts together, to, just be around family, to get out and enjoy the fresh air, all of that without being in the building for summer school and turning right back around and starting up for the new school year. I'm going to try my best to take this time to revamp the schedule, try to make sure that we put some classes in that are going to really make the kids want to be back in the building. We're doing culinary arts. We're doing classical piano. We're just trying to throw as many things into our schedule as possible so that the kids can say, wow, I'm ready to get back into the building and start this new normal that we're going to create. So doing that and just basically trying to figure out other things that we can do to motivate throughout the year. We're tweaking a lot of things that we saw last year, our areas of deficiency as far as academics, how we can address that in our new schedule. So just a lot of pieces, meeting with my thought partners and trying to figure out what's the best way to address those problems or issues. Just a lot of stuff going on this summer. Me, myself, I don't know how much time I'm going to have to rest. I'm going to try to find a week or two somewhere in there to revive myself. But definitely a lot of work going on, a lot of planning going on for this upcoming school year. I think this is going to be a very important year to get ourselves back on track. Not where we used to be, but on track to being successful with this new normal that we've
Aubrey, let's kick it up to you, man, from your lens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you. I was just noticing coming in from YouTube, Mel had mentioned recharge and reflection as well as big pieces, and I think that was a big piece, especially of what Frederick was just saying. And the one thing that I just want to kind of throw in here, like, remember, I do a lot of coaching now, especially of principals and superintendents. And I hear everybody talking in terms of, decluttering things for people, letting them, thank you again, Mel, recharge, reflect. That's fantastic. And I hear all of that, yet I don't see all of the administrators doing that for themselves. And that's a big deal. And so I keep really pushing that. Pre-COVID, probably 80% of what I was helping people with was systems, maybe helping them getting their, learning communities in place and pieces like that. After about 2-3 months of COVID, there was so much firefighting going on. It became 80% helping people get that peace of mind. And the one thing that I hope for all of the principals, assistant principals, vice principals, I hope that they'll, take those lessons to heart that they're preaching right now. Like, just get yourself some time to reflect, to recharge. I know, Frederick, I hope you get that 1 or 2 weeks this summer. I'm sure you will, but that's such important time. And I just hope that principals, admin in general, will remember that metaphor from the airplane, putting the oxygen mask over yourself first kind of thing, right?
You got to give yourself permission to do that. And I think that's a lot of, for my own self, I know I have a hard time shutting it off, and Chris knows that better than anybody, but you got to give permission and let that happen. Chris, let's kick it down to you.
Yeah, I think the the biggest, most important element to closing out the school year was that we were able to get back to a level of sustainability and normalcy at the end of the year. Yeah, and I say normalcy in that we were able to follow through on some traditions that we had concluded previous school years in, such as our in-person promotional. Our phys ed classes got we didn't do formal structured field day activities in grades 5 through 8, but all the physical education activities outside replicated all those things over the last 3 to 4 weeks of school. We started to get back into a routine and a flow, with the students, and increasing student leadership opportunities, increasing student engagement activities. And we actually had a couple of assemblies, which gave everybody a little bit more wind underneath their wings as we get into the most stressful part of the year, the end, right? We have to worry about grades. We have to worry about closing out. We have to worry about parent communications. We have to worry about cleaning the classroom, putting in maintenance requests, and dealing with all the tech requests, right? The temperature was nice and low. And for me, that was key. As we head into the summer, yeah, you know what? I'm trying to burn 26 vacation days from last Monday until July 1st. And there's not 26 days to do that. So I'm going to use as many as I possibly can. Mel put down there, modeling that is not always easy when we're talking about taking the time to reflect and shut down and take care of ourselves, right? I'm doing my best to do that between now and July 4th. And then I'll be doing it again in late July and early August. The work will get done. The master schedule will be fine. The opening day spiel will be just okay. It's going to be fine. I've been at it for a long time, but we got to take care of the head. We got to take care of the heart and make sure that we can all be connected to our central core purpose. And we got to be recharged in order to do that. So that's my closeout, man.
Josh.
AJ, what's going on? Josh.
AJ, we got to kick it. Okay.
Yeah, let's kick it up.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Boom. Go ahead. AJ, go.
I'll jump in there. So for me, the end of the year basically was, a lot of planning for our graduation for our 8th graders and our commencement. Sorry, can't say graduation. The commencement for the 8th graders. We really wanted to make something special for them. We set up an outdoor event that was a beautiful ceremony for them, and we had parents sitting with the graduates, families sitting with the graduates, and we were really, really happy with it, pleased with what we did. We had a clap out for the 8th grade. Again, just wanted to make something really special. So that was a big part of our late May, early June planning. Personally, I was meeting with teachers, doing the summative evaluations for them. Not the way I wanted to do it so late in the game, but it gave me a chance to say thank you, to tell them to rest and rejuvenate. Obviously had to go over, what the evaluations were, but still, I got to thank them personally. For me, though, I haven't taken a day yet. I'm not ready to do that because I still have so many things I want to do. I'm sitting in the office and I'm doing my plan, setting my goals, kind of figure out exactly what I want to do. I have time set for my family that we're going to go away for a little bit. So I'll get there. I'm listening to you guys. I'll get there as well. And, whatever it is, it's going to be what it is. You're right. We're going to get the schedule done. We're going to get the classes done. People are going to get their assignments. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it's going to be soon. And people will be ready for the year when it gets closer to September. So the work will get done, but I feel good going into, a new year and new ideas, and I'm excited. And hopefully the staff is excited because I think there's going to be a new feel for what the school is going to look like and what we're going to do together. Like I said, I have big goals for myself. My notebook is already full, just sitting in the office for 2 days. So I'm looking forward to what I can really accomplish for myself.
Here comes our rock star, Josh. Let's do it.
I think that the way that it finished was fabulous. I'm going to take me in this one. I always talk about we and the chair and stuff. I think it was great because for us, it finishes. Our campus is 6 through 12. So it's totally a crazy setup. So here I got this 11-year-old that just came from Vietnam, and I've got this teen parent that's about to graduate in the same building. And so we finished off with a graduation of at-risk kids, 207 of them. Let me get, and this is the why. Let me share real quick. This is why I'm rejuvenated. That's why I can't stop. People like us can't stop. We're weirdos. It's Sunday. It's 8:00 at night, and we're doing this. You know why? Because we love what we do. Right. And it's hard to disconnect. And we preach it, but we can't because we love what we do for kids. So I've got this 20-year-old who writes me and he just tells me, I've had a problem. I had issues with the law. I want to come back. I want to do everything. And I go, you can only come back with this and this and this and this. I mean, dude, I don't want you, a 20-year-old man here at the campus. without you doing the effort. He graduated. He mastered one of the state exams. And he just wrote me an email. I need my transcript because I'm going to college. That's why. That's why I can't stop, because there's kids like that out there. That's why we don't stop, because we lay the foundation for the future of this country. That's why. That just gives me more testosterone to keep on pushing for these kids, more energy. And you know what? I will tell you this. The reason I left a 6A high school, the reason I left 2,500 kids to come to 300 was because I was spending too much time with someone else's kid. My days were spent on going to freshman games, to JV games, choir, theater arts, traveling here and there, by district championships, area playoffs. You know what? I was raising other kids, and I have 3 little ones. So I do believe in separating from what the reality is to focusing on your family, because you know what? We have seen this. All of us have seen this. Kids get damaged without a strong influence of the dad and the mom at home. And this one way or the other, we've had to deal with that. And I didn't want my kids to go through that because I know what the issue is. So that's why I uprooted my family from 800 miles from El Paso to North Dallas, because I love my kids, but I also love what I do. So that's where the balance is. And I highly suggest that to everybody. If you're not getting what you need in your ISD, look around. We have our education. Like my mom said when she came to this country, no one will ever take away from you what you've established with your education. You are a free agent as long as you do a valid job. So right now, I'm very inspired just by that email, that kiddo, by what we do. And I will be spending time with my family. I will be spending time. I think we're going to South Carolina. I'm not sure. That's a mama thing. She sets all that up. I just give the credit card. And after that, we're going to come back on fire, because right now I'm laying the foundation to connect with the kids that I know will have some issues when they come back, because they haven't been in a building for what, a year and a half? So how do we teach them to wear their ID? How do we teach them to make sure that they cough in the right direction? How do we teach them to be to class on time or to the building on time without their PJs and their floppy shoes? Not knowing that their cat's not going to be there on Netflix. All that groundwork has to start before they get there, because you don't want to be clashing the day one that the door's open. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Totally kid-centered, man. And I'll tell you what, if that's not the reason why we get into this job, I don't know what else is, because you've got it. And then you put that little balance of family in there as well. Hey, let's take a quick look at the rebalancing, what that looks like for all of us in our roles. And it's very tough to do sometimes, as I said earlier. And what is your role? What does it look like through your eyes? And Aubrey, let's go up with you first, and let's talk about, from the coaching element, how would you coach up leaders in this capacity to be able to find that balancing act?
Yeah, no, appreciated it. I like that. I like the word balance, and I like the concept, of course. I generally talk to people more in terms of a pendulum. Like you swing one way and you're going to overspend, on those kids, like Josh was just saying, you're going to overspend for big chunks of time, and then hopefully it'll swing back and you can overspend a little bit with the time with your family and that as well. And so one of the things that, the mindset pieces I try to work with a lot with people is and that's what I did when I was a superintendent. When I was working with the principals and that too, and they taught me a lot more than I was teaching them with that. But we used to talk about pendulums all the time. Like how can we use the concept of a pendulum to feel a little bit better when we have 6 days in a row where we don't get to spend very much time with our loved ones at home? If we know that pendulum is going to go, then we don't feel so guilty. Don't have that angst, hanging there so much. So one of the starting points for me on that is to kind of push that pendulum metaphor, not a little, a whole lot, and I think that's the starting point.
Nice, thank you, Frederick.
I love it. One of our viewers said that they were late starting their school's honors program because they had to do they had to finish their daughter's program. And I think we have to have those things set those important things set up that we don't miss out on. I spend time with my wife and my son. We just lounge around watching TV. On off days, we try to be off. Sometimes it's hard, and it'll be something that we have to present on or question we have to answer. But for the most part, I always love what Josh says. We do have to have that balance, and Aubrey, you hit it on the head too. We have to have a balance between our home life and that work life, so we are not, overwhelmed when we start back helping our kids. I mean, if we're going to be there for the kids and our teachers, at some point we have to find a way to decompress. We have to find a way to level things off. And even when we give too much on one side, always be able to come back and sort of balance it out. I'm doing better at that. I think newer principals have a rougher time at it than we do now. Because I remember still sleeping, going to sleep and having the pad beside my bed because I would wake up thinking about things. Well, I can do this for the school. And it's really rough if you don't have, hey, let me just set all of this stuff aside and just be me. Just be Fred. Just be dad. Just be hubby. All of those things. So definitely making sure that you have that balance in your life and you do not let one overshadow the other. Do not come home and still talk about work all day long. And with my wife and I both being educators, that's the rough part. And now she's a principal, that's really going to be the rough part because we're having to, okay, let's talk about something. Let's watch Murder, She Wrote. Anything. Let's not talk about work right now. So keeping that balance. That's why I love listening to you guys. You confirm all of the things that I do, and I know that I'm doing the right thing because I hear from you guys who are experts, who've been in this thing, who are devoted to this work that we do. So, thank you.
Removing the title doctor, and just being Fred. I like that. That's a great way to put it after all that work you've done. So good for you. Let's go down to Chris.
Hey, so first off, Aubrey, I love the pendulum swing, and not from the perspective of initiatives that swing in and out over our careers, but just from that fluidity and that balance of that swing. I'm a mathematician at heart. I'm a former math teacher, so I really get the beauty of that as we're going through and having the pendulum draw the shapes in the sand, right? We sit down, we get into a mindset, and we get fixated on the wonderful imagery that can be created there. I love that. I might have to use that more. For me, balance is rebalancing. You're driving down the highway and the steering wheel starts to shake a little, or you get that little vibration in your seat and you're starting to think that, gosh, I got something seriously mechanically wrong with my vehicle, right? Well, in actuality, it may just be the need to rebalance your tires, add a little bit of weight to this section of that rim, because we don't want to put too much strain on the tire. We don't want to decrease our gas mileage. We don't want to have drivetrain problems down the line. So these little elements that can be tweaked and adjusted can really lead to big issues. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is it's so important to pay attention to those little pieces that might feel out of whack with you personally, emotionally, mentally, physically, because it's going to add strain. And, as we sit down and we think about those first year principles, second year principles, first 5-year principles, right? As Fred mentioned, we got the pad by the side of the bed. I mean, I still have one, but I sleep through the night. And the reason I sleep through the night is I know that I've got a vision. I know that I've got a team, and I know that I've got the following day after tomorrow. And we can accomplish, what we're setting out to accomplish, even if the timeline isn't met perfectly and we can't be strategically positioned to make a jump when we thought we'd be ready. It'll come. And as long as we've got confidence in ourselves and in our colleagues and in our team, we'll be okay. But getting to that level, it takes a lot. It really does take a lot. And self-reflection, being introspective and really understanding how we are but one cog in that machine. We've got to add weight to those rims to keep us balanced and going down the road. You got to be willing at 70 to test it and release the steering wheel, right? and make sure that you're true to the road. And our job is pretty much 70 to 80 miles an hour every single day as educational leaders. So let go of the wheel every now and then and make sure that your vehicle, your person, is calibrated properly and you're going right down the middle of the road.
Great analogy, Chris. I can't help but think, though, sometimes I'm plugged 24/7. And I don't know about you guys. I've had dreams in the middle of the night, and I'm thinking, I'm in a different school. I'm in a different place. I'm like, what am I doing here? I don't know why my mind spins like that. But I do wake up and I pinch myself and say, hey, tomorrow's going to be a great day. But I think that just comes with the territory and that rebalancing act. Even for myself, it's just finding that thing that's going to complete me outside of work. And again, if that can just be shutting off my phone, Josh, that means no tweets, no nothing for 3 or 4 days. Maybe that'll help just clear my mind. And I am going to work on that. I want to work with a therapist, I think, to get that done in some capacity. That's going to be you, Chris. So that's the way it goes. But again, I think there's so many different ways that we all find that balance place for us. Josh, kick it over to you.
I just think we need to make a commitment. One of my professors at Sul Ross State University always talked about how he avoided conflict with his wife by not bringing it home. So we had some conversations about that, and that stayed ingrained in my head. So that's one of my commitments that I made, that whoever at that stage in my life I was with, I would not bring the work home. Because we all know this. We've all walked these shoes, that the problem in education the majority of the time is not the kids, it's the adults. And we bring a burden of adult problems that, that's not about kids. And you don't want to unleash that mountain on your spouse, on your kids.
Right.
So at that moment, I've made that commitment. So there was a question asked, how do you make that commitment? Or how do you find the balance? You just got to make it come to fruition. You just don't talk about that. Don't bring the noise. The noise is, the moment we walk from the parking lot to the front door, there's noise. 2 kids pushing each other, there's noise. The teacher can't get into a room, can I borrow your key? There's noise. There's always noise. Don't bring it to your house. You just got to make that commitment. And then if there's something that's keeping you away from your family, from your peace of mind, then you just got to move. I mean, I'm the example of that. You move. I moved 800 miles so that I could find time with my family. But am I still nonstop? You see, I'm still nonstop thinking about work. I'm still an addict about it. I'm still 24/7 always thinking, how can I make it a better home for my kids at school? What can I do to support the kids when they come in from Vietnam, from Burkina Faso, from walking from El Salvador, or that teen parent that just had 2 kids and she's 17 years old and needs to graduate? So all those things are in my mind because they're the future of our country. And one of the things that I do think about, and I keep on promoting it always because I believe in it, is this is one of my, I started reading it again. This is my 5th time, the 4 agreements. This is, we all have that go-to. This is my go-to. This balances me out. 0 balance out on the 4 agreements. It's simple, but you know what? It reminds me of who I am as a human being, because you know what? We're not in the algebra business. We're not in the science business. We're not in the history business. We're in the people business. So when we understand who we are as ourselves, we know how to treat others. And so it's something that we just need to find we need to find the purpose of what we do, but also remember that stage, that 0 to love our families.
Love it. AJ.
Why you guys gotta make me follow Josh? Like, come on.
Always.
No, I mean it's very simple for me. Like between the hours of 7 and 4, I work. I put the work in and put my phone to the side, and I'm doing whatever I have to do. 4:01, I become AJ. I become dad. I go home. You guys know I coach. I spend time with the family. I shut down as best I can between 4 o'clock whenever the kids go to bed, and then I come back and I'm checking Twitter, or I'm checking podcasts, or whatever I'm doing. Like I go kind of back into work mode, but that's more of my learning time. My wife is also an educator, so as much as I try not to bring things home, I bring things home to her, knowing that I can ask her questions. So asking her questions like, I dealt with this problem with a student. If you were the teacher, do you think I handled this correctly? If I had a problem with a teacher, I ask her, how would you have liked me to handle a situation? I like getting her feedback because she's very honest, and she'll straight up tell me, you did it wrong. And then I can go back the next day and kind of fix what I did. But, my balance really, I don't know where my balance is. I got to be honest with you, because I feel like I'm continuously, like Josh said, thinking about what I can do better as an assistant principal, thinking about what I could do to help the school, thinking about what I got to do for that one student who I keep seeing every day that I know is struggling. Is anybody reaching them? So like those thoughts keep going, but I do try to find time to shut down and really be dad, and no phones, no nonsense like that. But the balance is there. It comes in, I guess, in waves, because there's sometimes I'm shutting down, but I know I'm thinking about something and it's in the back of my mind and I'm jotting things down, or my kids are playing with Legos. But I'm all over the place. So balance is very hard. For that pendulum, for me, kind of kicks up one day and just stays there, and then all of a sudden it comes really fast crashing the other way.
Thanks, AJ. Next part is innovation and dreaming. This is my favorite part of what we do and why we do it. And after we get that recalibration and balancing, let's talk about, through our lens, what this dreaming of tomorrow will look like within our scope as a leader and what we do and how innovative we can be with that. So again, let's kick it up to Aubrey first as our guest at the table tonight.
Hey, excuse me. Thank you. So my biggest interest these days, and I know it might seem a little strange and countercultural, but like, I love everything to do with getting ideas out of our heads. Like everything you've just been saying, everybody's been saying for the last 10 minutes is just mesmerizing to me. So I love this stuff. And when you take yourself home and you try to put edges around your work and around your day, I just find that to be so difficult for people. So my passion these days is helping people like AJ at 401 be fully present. And there are strategies that we can implement. I love that you actually said, AJ, jotting things down, because that's how you get it out of your head, right? It was David Allen with Getting Things Done with GTD that said a mind is for having ideas, not for holding on to them. Our mind is an awful office. And so anyway, I'm really interested in that stuff for the future. And I just started rereading today a book called A World Without Email. And so like, I'm really interested in what's going to happen after, when things get back to somewhat normal, and that how we can maybe get away from sending so many digital messages. I think there's going to be a really positive rebound to in-person conversations. I think there's going to be a lot of focus on that. And I think it's really, really exciting. And I think it's really important for school and district leaders to capitalize on those moments and to send fewer emails in the future, send fewer digital messages, and really capitalize on those face-to-face opportunities. And I think there's just going to be a plethora of those opportunities in the next year. Like, people are going to be anxious for it. So anyway, sorry, I'm all over the place on this, but I'm just really thrilled with what everybody's throwing out there here tonight.
That's good stuff. Josh, take it, brother.
Just my worry is we have incoming a lot of damaged situations. Spiritual, emotional, economic, and regardless if you might have a counseling degree, if you have an administrative degree, a history degree, we weren't taught certain connections to heal and certain wounds. And we need to make sure that we grow stronger as a team of adults to support each other, because when our team members or ourselves hear that depressing situation that a child goes through, it stays in us. It affects us. It damages us, because we're like, oh my God, this poor child. So right now I'm planning on sending out using the cards to the kids, letting them know that I'm there for them, letting them know that they could reach out to me via social media, letting them know that I'm there for them. And then there's some kids that, based on the data that I have, that are I would say higher at risk. I'm going to do an individual card to them, letting them know that I know that they've had some struggles based on their records, their GPAs, whatever it might be, that it's going to be okay. So I'm laying that foundation with the kids, because I want them to walk in not defensive. I don't want them to walk in vague on what their goal is, what their focus in life is. But then I also need to make sure that I do that with our team. And we've done a great job as adults. We just showed off the school to another campus outside of Houston of how we do things. we're getting ready for our next book study for Todd Whitaker, what great teachers do. So we're setting up those procedures, and we need to make sure that we work as a collective. So when the kids come back in, that we know they're going to be hurting. And then the group that I have, like I mentioned before, they're kids that are coming brand new to the country from all around the world. It's having that support for them, because you know they come in without the financial means. You know they come in without the proper documentation, whatever it might be. So that's a different psyche for the kids. So for us, we're being proactive, sending out those letters, those letters, letting know we're there for them. But for adults, also preparing for the upcoming PD, so that we know that we need to rally around stronger as a group. Because you know what? Last year was hard. To me, I think this coming year, 21-22, is going to be more difficult, because we know there's an accordion of learning. We know that there's a lot of stuff that has happened in a year and a half. So we cannot overreact to a kid coming in that might be damaged.
Frederick.
Anybody that knows me knows that I believe in dream chasing. And what I mean by that is what we're going to do this upcoming year is our kids that are coming back to the building during one of our first sessions talk about, where do you see yourself, or where do you want to be? Not see yourself, because we know some of them may have pessimistic views, but where do you want to be in 10 years' time? And with that, what work do you now have to put in to get there? And this is not just for the kids, but this is also from the teacher's point of view. Where do you want to be in these 10 years? So if our kids, they say, hey, I want to be in this college, or I want to be coming out of this college, or I want to be starting this career, what do you need to put in place starting right now in order to get there? I've always believed if we, allow the kids to set a goal, set a dream, and then provide them with the support in order to reach that dream. It's just like the kids say, well, I want to be a basketball superstar. Cool. I'm not going to dissuade you from going after that dream. But what work do you have to start putting in right now? What high school do you think you need to, get accepted into? What college will you need to be accepted into? What will your grades need to look like? What your ACT score needs to look like? So if you want to chase this dream, if you want to be that person, if you want to compete with that person you see 10 years from now, what do you need to start doing right now? So part of our plan is going to be talking about all of our kids being dream chasers, setting that goal for themselves, and talking to my teachers. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Some of my teachers we've talked before want to be administrators. If that's the case, what do you need to put in place right now? You want to be teacher of the year, on a consistent basis. What do you need to put in place right now in order to get there? So trying to set all of this up to motivate kids, to get kids really into their own education and getting reinvested into the school. So that's what we're pushing.
Good stuff right there. AJ.
Yeah, I like what's been said. I think for me, I just want a normal year. Like I just want to see what it's like to be in a normal situation. I know we're going to have kids in our school who we have to reteach them what it looks like to be in a school, reteach what it looks like to sit in class, what it looks like to move through the hallway. They did a little bit of that going forward, but it's going to be on us as a school to really help these kids focus on being in school and finding that stamina to be a full day. And we didn't have that. So I think for me, my list is long. Like I said, I sat down for 2 days, did a couple of things, but my list is long as to my vision of what I want to do for myself to support the principal of my school, so that the teachers and the students have a tremendous experience going forward for the 21-22 school year. Just listening to you guys, I'm just jotting down some notes, and I really love, Frederick, I love that dream chasers. I think setting goals, I think it's going to be kind of like, I don't want to say it like this, but a theme for what we should do for next year. Find ways to motivate our kids to focus on learning and focus on their achievements going forward.
I'm a huge proponent of reinventing yourself and being a dreamer. I love the 1 to 3 year plan, that strategic action plan of yourself and what you want to do to make yourself better and to make others around you better. I still think as an instructional leader, I want every school I want every student to think that their school is that school that cared about them, that school that gave them every opportunity to be who they are and where they're at, that school that provided the supports, that school that provided the love and the relationships for them to be successful. If those are things we're dreaming about, man, we're going to be pretty darn good in the end. There's no doubt about it, because those are the bare essentials. Chris, kick it over to you.
Dreaming, right? Yeah. Well, first, I don't know if everybody here knows, but I'm a big Disney guy. You know, I love the idea of Imagineers and reimagining along the Disney mindset. But, you know, for me, back in 2010, read a book by Chip and Dan Heath. It was called Switch. The subtitle is something like How to Make Change When Change is Hard, right? And the premise of the book was based on these three elements. The three elements were the rider, the elephant, and shaping the path. The rider, the cognitive, right? I know I have to get from point A to point B, but you're riding on an elephant. Guess what the elephant is? The elephant is the emotion. And when the emotion drives shaping the path, guess what's going to happen to the rider? If the elephant doesn't want to stay on the path that's been shaped, the elephant's going through that bamboo, going through the jungle, and the rider who's on top, you're getting knocked off, you're getting bumped, you're getting bruised. You got to learn to control that emotion. And the first thing about dreaming is realizing that what we accomplished in the past year, we rode the elephant. We may have gotten beaten up and gotten bruised. AJ, love the family in the background. And
That's why we do what we do.
Everybody's
it is. It's awesome, man. But, you know, we rode a massive elephant in this last 15 months, and we came out on the positive end of things. So dreaming about what could be, you know, I really think Josh nailed it. The personal connectivity, and Aubrey nailed it. You know, the personal connectivity, the drop in the electronic communications, the face-to-face connections. You know, we're talking about social emotional learning, right? That's nothing new, especially in middle school. Hello, it's what we've been doing since the start of time, right? But the idea of these connectivity elements, I'd like there to be and I'd like to dream this through, a focus on metrics of betterment and connectiveness rather than competitiveness. You know, the studying to get the A on the test, and then not being able to apply that learning to the next unit of study, right? How is it that we can utilize metrics of a different way to measure kids' learning and measure their productiveness with their learning? I'd like us to think about those things. And at the same time, I'd like us to do exactly what Frederick brought up, man. Having competitive advantage for kids by identifying what their goals and their dreams are, and us as educators in a system adapting to guide their path, to show their path, to link up that rider and that elephant to allow them to cut that path through the jungle and get to their destination. It's going to look very different for every single child. And I'm not talking about personalized learning and any old adage that's been out there in the other books. I'm talking about real, authentic relationship and purpose behind our preparedness of the kids as we move them forward to their future. Because that's our job, and that's going to be hard, but it's our job. That's what I dream of, and that's what I hope.
Well, we're going to get there because that's that school syndrome. And if we all do that, and again, we all drop our oars in the water at the same time, great things will happen. Hey, listen, we're running up on a time crunch tonight. I want to thank Aubrey Patterson for joining us. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Frederick, AJ, Josh, Chris, another night. You know what? We're getting better together every time we get out. So just for planning purposes, we're going to come back with our Principals Roundtable next Sunday. Then we're going to go every other week with the Principals Roundtable. And then the Assistant Principals Roundtable will be on the other weeks, so on Sunday night. So all summer long, we're going to be looking to get better together. We appreciate you guys chiming in and following along with us. But more importantly, getting better each day, because that's what makes a difference for all of us in the roles that we play for kids. With that being said, we hope you have a great Sunday night, and we appreciate you guys more than you know.
Hey, great work, everybody. It was awesome to be here with you all. It was a pleasure and a blessing.